We're just going to read one piece from the book of scripts. We got time still, Andy? It's going to take about 10 minutes. And just to explain it, it's a piece called The Untitled Naming of Aims, and it was written 6 years ago. It was written for an artist collective who currently live and work in London called Luton. And Luton are a peripatetic project space who kind of make works with artists, and it was for an exhibition that they were making at the Four Boxes Gallery in Krabbesgård, Denmark, which was a show that was called Untitled. And my contribution for the show, because I couldn't be there in Denmark, was to produce a script that would be performed by the three members of Luton, Lewis Ronald, Jesper Thompson, who you've actually heard read this evening, and Adam Gibbons. Because Lewis isn't here, I'm going to read the voice of Luton, and Adam is going to be me, because that was always the point in the script, and Jesper will be reading the stage directions. So it's going to take about 10 minutes. So, yeah, we'll probably need a couple of books. Can I?
I've got one.
You got one? We've got another one here. So yeah, this is an old work and a short one. And it was never one that I was supposed to be in, so it's like highly conceptually unsound that I'm actually reading this. It was supposed to be completely outsourced to Luton, but maybe that's fine. So I think
We're going to share a microphone.
we're going to share a microphone, yeah.
Can I borrow this one?
You want to borrow it? Okay. Okay, so, yes, we'll just have to dip in a little bit. 57. Yeah, so this is The Untitled Naming of Aims, which was originally read on the 12th of November 2010 at 5 p.m-ish at Four Boxes Gallery, Krabbesgård, in a show by Luton called Untitled, with Adam Gibbons as Callie Spooner's text, Lewis Ronald as Luton, and Jesper Thompson as all the stage directions, but today I'll be playing Lewis. So, okay.
So, I wanted to give you an untitled piece of my writing, and then I wanted to perform it in public until it had a title. The trouble was, I couldn't quite say what I wanted to perform because I wasn't quite sure what the writing was. I just knew it wasn't something I could name.
Lewis turns to Adam.
This seemed bad because if I couldn't say what I wanted to perform, I couldn't tell you my aims. And if I couldn't tell you my aims, I'd end up reading an untitled piece of my writing, which at best would be dislocated, and at worst would be boring.
So,
Adam turns to Lewis.
will you name your aims?
Yes.
When?
Soon, I think.
Well, hurry up.
He's irritated.
We started.
I've started too.
What?
I can't quite say.
We'll say something.
Adam is silent for a very long time.
I wanted to give you an untitled work from my writing desk,
I know, you said.
but it's pretty much about nothing.
Lewis is bored.
I said it's about nothing.
Well, don't bring it here. We asked you for something.
Not exactly.
Yes, exactly.
Adam looks thoughtful.
In that case, I'd also like to perform 3 untitled pictures, which are also on my writing desk.
Well, you can't, because you came here to write. Good writers should have faced their personalities, and it sounds like this writing desk
Points to Adam
is far too
with
idealistic
complete conviction.
and far too full of your ideologies. Furthermore,
He sniffs.
these
He
pictures
pauses.
just aren't writing.
Firstly, the writing desk is hardly a writing desk. This would overinflate its status. It's actually a broken table
Small,
with one piece of chipboard
long,
and one piece of MDF
same length.
perched on top, rather precariously, so that if I overweigh one end of the overhang, the entire ideology might flip up.
Lewis is bored.
If this happens, a whole lot of untitled, unmarked crap, which I need to file, would go flying into the air, followed by a scanner printer that I can't make work, a small rosemary plant which isn't mine, and a black and white photograph of Pablo Neruda and Nassim Hikmet, both of who are both poets and communists all at once. Secondly,
He pauses.
you're right about the pictures.
Anything else?
No, except that I've been thinking about being a writer who has to write about communism,
He looks romantic.
when perhaps they're also rather good at writing
He
poetry.
looks more romantic.
Secondly, stop looking like that. Firstly, how's your poetry?
Terrible.
Are you a communist?
Definitely not.
Remind me why this is relevant.
He
Because
says with complete conviction.
having a nameable
He
aim
pauses.
counts, and they
He indicates the absent picture.
has an aim.
Lewis is bored.
Then I thought about B.S. Johnson's Albert Angelo, He tried so hard to tell us something of what he felt about being a poet in a world where only poets care about anything real about poetry, through the objective correlative of an architect who has to earn his living as a teacher.
He reconsiders.
Except the correlate didn't work, because architects can earn livings very nearly connected with their art, and no poet has ever lived by his poetry. Furthermore, architecture is functional and poetry most certainly isn't. And so simply, fuck all this line because architecture just isn't poetry.
Who is this poet?
But while he was building buildings, it's almost certain that Albert Angelo could name his aims. And, perhaps, while he was writing poetry, B.S. Johnson couldn't.
Lewis interrupts.
Before you go any further, I can assure you that you're not writing poetry.
Adam demonstrates.
The architect had a nameable aim,
He imagines a building.
and the poet might not.
He imagines.
And if you have a brief, then something can happen, because nothing comes from nothing, and something
He indicates an intangible brief.
comes from something,
He indicates an intangible brief.
which is specific
He pauses.
and named, which is true of the poet, unless, of course, he has a muse, which is almost like a brief, only much better looking.
They fall into silence.
So, who's the lucky muse?
Today, I don't have a muse, and that
Adam pokes Lewis.
is not my fault.
Don't poke me.
Adam pictures a muse.
Wikipedia pictures Natsim Hikmet as a romantic communist. I rather like this and wonder how romance and communism can be reconciled when being romantic is so terribly
He
selfish
sighs.
and being a communist
He gazes outside.
is rather more functional. I try to picture a romantic communist.
Must you?
Yes. But all I conjure up is a handsome man that looks a little like Natsim Hikmet, with a neat moustache, wearing a fabulously white linen suit. He leans back in a comfortable armchair with one leg crossed gracefully over the other, revealing a sock that might be pink, and a pair of good brown leather brogues. He smokes a cigarette and looks thoughtful, as if he might at any minute reach for a pencil and start to pour out some poetry, while he continues to think deeply about communism from his armchair.
Hurry up.
I wonder whether his poetic muse was communism. Perhaps the romance comes from the poetry and politics comes from the muse, but what's certain is he had something specific to speak about from his armchair, and what's even more certain is that I simply don't.
So why are you here?
Because I think I've got something to say. It's just not specific, and I couldn't possibly name it.
Well, it's too easy to tell them. It's not easy to know where to start.
I haven't said that yet.
Well, this isn't a beat of writing on writing, or rather on not writing in writer's block.
I don't have writer's block.
He's indigent.
It's a block in the naming of
He
aims.
explains.
An absence of brief.
Pauses.
It's a problem.
Sounds bad.
It's awful.
So what will you do?
Perform in response to whatever you give me.
Sounds okay.
Adam continues.
Back at the writing desk, I've been keeping The Great Gatsby next to a number of theory books, as a type of pick-me-up when things start to go wrong with my writing. In the novel, F. Scott Fitzgerald builds a hazy world of snuffed-out candles, lanterns dangling in trees and green beacons becoming damned characters towards their futures.
He flourishes poetically.
The lights grow brighter as the earth lurches away from the sun, and the orchestra plays yellow cocktail music as the opera of voices pitches a key higher. Laughter is easier minute by minute, tit-tat of a cheerful world. The groups change more swiftly, swell with new arrivals, dissolve and form in the same breath.
He sighs.
Now why can't I just say that?
You just did.
Says Lewis.
Now drop the poetics.
The book, once again, is an ode to Zelda, who was Fitzgerald's muse. I wonder how simple life would be to have one single muse that they could generate text after text. I never get text after text because I cannot commit to my aims, and my muse seems to change every time I write.
You're promiscuous.
It seems so.
Sort it out.
But if I just had a constant starting point,
We gave you a starting point.
I mean, if one has complete commitment to one nameable thing, like Zelda or beauty or nature or politics, then you'll know what to express.
We gave you a nameable starting point. An expression
He pauses.
is overrated.
Because expression is not overrated, I am going to attempt to express a point. Firstly, I need to know what expression means. So I look it up in the dictionary built into my MacBook Pro, which I bought for £890 as a tool to write with. This feels like a luxury, for well over 2,000 years, people have been able to express themselves perfectly well with a pencil. I am told that expression is an activity that conveys,
A thought or a feeling.
in words or by gestures.
And conduct.
Oh, please don't quote the dictionary.
To quote the dictionary, to express oneself is to say what one thinks or means. Its origin is late Middle English, to obtain by squeezing or wringing, used figuratively to mean extort, based on the Latin.
To press.
This is a relief. It indicates that, at least since the Middle Ages, expression has never just fallen from the sky. Instead, it's a rather painful process of squeezing, wringing and pressing something out of something else, which makes me wonder whether I'm unable to express myself because I'm lazy and I expect text to fall from the sky,
Lewis says.
Yes.
or because I have nothing to wring and press.
Lewis looks annoyed.
We gave you something to ring.
Well, name it,
We did.
but an untitled aim
He pauses.
is no aim at all.
They fall into silence, and after a while, Lewis says.
So,
He pauses.
will you say something?
Yes,
Says Adam.
When?
soon, I think.
And that's the end of my Thank you very